Hi and welcome to A World of Words. I'm Vanessa and today I'm going to be doing a writing vlog where I basically just talk about whatever is on my mind in my current writing endeavors. Today I'm going to be talking about feeling kind of stuck after you finished a first draft and trying to continue to plan the rest of a series. So I've never actually done like a writing vlog before. I don't know if writing advice videos count as like a vlog or if it's only a vlog if you're just kind of talking about stuff. So like mainly what I'm feeling like is going to be differentiating my writing vlogs per se are basically going to be me talking about what's currently on my mind as far as like my writing process, where I am in my different series that I'm writing because I'm working on several series, and just rambling about basically what I'm doing in my writing at the moment and what maybe is like bothering me or what's really on my mind. And so there's no necessarily advice from it, but I actually really enjoy watching these kind of videos where people are just kind of talking about their process, so I thought it would be really fun to start doing them myself. So my other videos are more like how-to videos where it's a little bit more organized and I try and give like actual advice that will help people. So this might be interesting to people. I'm not sure if it will help anybody. Maybe it will. Sometimes I feel like it does actually help me to listen to other people talk about what's bothering them. It makes me think about things and I find it interesting and sometimes helpful. So that's basically where I'm going with this sort of series. So if it doesn't really say how to in the title, it's not necessarily an instructional video. I'll have a different writing advice intro and then a different writing vlog intro so that you know which video you're watching like right at the start. I don't want to mislead anybody. So that's my really long disclaimer about this video. It's just gonna be very rambly and hopefully interesting to you. Who knows? So right now I have actually a couple months ago, yeah, it's been a couple months now, have finished like the complete first draft of a novel. It's the second series that I'm working on. It's not my first novel I've ever written. I finished the sort of completed version of the first book in another series a couple years ago, and I'm not going to talk about that right now because that's a whole other thing. So right now I have just finished the first draft of the first book in this one series and I'm super excited about it. I'm just like in love with it. The only problem is that I really want to do foreshadowing in that book for the rest of the series. So I finished the first draft and I've done a read through of it, kind of adding all the scenes I skipped before and doing some light editing and stuff like that. And I've written like another kind of round of notes. Basically, because it is a series, I'm planning for it to be 3 to 4 books long. Not 100% sure, it depends on how my brainstorming goes. Or I can even finish my complete edits and revisions of the first book. I need to know what happens later in the series so I can like add foreshadowing stuff in the first one, you know? Because you can't foreshadow what you don't know is gonna happen. So I did a whole bunch of brainstorming for the sequel, and like as far as this book goes, I have like basic kind of plot things I want to do. They're very vague, like I know what I want the villains to be doing, and because they're all fantasy. I think it's going to be new adult fantasy because the main character's 19, but if it is published as YA, that is fine too because it's not going to be very graphic as far as swearing and anything like that. I just want the character to be in college, so she's not at home and she doesn't have to worry what her parents want essentially because she's an adult, so she can go have this adventure in this other world, and so her parents can be like alive but not in the story necessarily, and she has a little bit more freedom, especially like with romantic stuff. I kind of wanted it to be potentially some older guys could potentially be interested in her without it being like really creepy and stuff like that. So it is a fantasy series and it's kind of like, yeah, it's basically about this girl who ends up in this fantasy world and a bunch of crazy stuff happens, and it's like a light kind of fun, funny series as well. But I do want to have some foreshadowing and I do want it to be like really interesting and like plot twisty and stuff like that for the readers. So I did a whole bunch of brainstorming for the second book and as I was brainstorming, like it's fun to brainstorm because that's my favorite part of, I think, the planning process of a book. I like that a whole lot more than I like organizing everything. That's my least favorite part, is making everything fit together neatly. I don't like that, but it's very important to make sure things fit together neatly. So for the actual brainstorming part, I was like, it was really weird because I had like where the plot is going to go naturally from the first book, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. This is where the plot kind of has to go as far as like what I've written before and what makes sense for what's happened in the first book. But I was like, it's not necessarily, like I wasn't super excited about any of the ideas. I was excited about some of the side plots and like the evil villains plot. I was excited about that. But I wasn't necessarily super excited about the main character's plot, which is bad because I want to be excited about the main character's plotline. And there was another character, because it's a multiple point of view, that I know I want in the book, but I honestly feel like I wrote myself into a corner with how I ended things with that character, and I don't know how to bring them into this book now. So that's sort of like the situation that I'm dealing with, and actually like last night I kind of got through it a little bit, and I'm super excited about that because for 2 months I kind of just put the book aside because I think I said before, I'm currently writing 3 series. They're all fantasy, and one's young adult and the other 2 are like new adult, but because the characters are like 19, 20, but it could be published as a young adult. Like I think Throne of Glass is actually like 18, 19, and that's considered young adult, I think. So it could be either one. I just want the characters to be a little bit older just for sake of certain things in the book. So I pretty much just put that one aside for the time being, and I went back and I worked on another book. I worked on the book that I have finished and thought I had completely perfect and revised and everything. I tried querying it a couple years ago. I think a while ago I was querying it, and I didn't really get anywhere, and that was, I think, because it was massive. It was a crazy 130,000 words, I believe. If you don't know, that's roughly like 500 to 600 pages like in a young adult novel, which is fine if you're not a first-time author. But since I am a first-time author, that's not fine, so nobody wanted it. And also, I'm looking back now, I realize that the beginning could have been better. I thought it was really good and I really liked the beginning, and I thought everything that was there was really necessary and had to be right there. But going back, I've finally like broke through this like thing that was in my head saying that it had to start right here. I was like, it doesn't have to start right there. So I cut out a whole bunch of the beginning and made it just move a lot faster, because that's another book about kids who end up in a fantasy world. All my books are connected by this one like central idea that I'm not going to say because I'm very protective of my like very specific ideas. They're all like connected, and actually the one that I just finished takes place a little bit after that other one ends. So it's not exactly like Cassandra Clare in her Shadowhunters Chronicles, because those you actually have to read the one book to understand the other one, and there are spoilers in each book for the other books. My books, while all my series are connected by like something, they're not like, there's kind of like the one series kind of sets up for some of the other series, but you don't actually have to read it if you want to read the other series. If that makes any sense. Like all of the series I want to be, you can pick up any series and you can read it and it will not spoil the other series, it will just kind of like speak to each other. If that makes sense. Like if you've read it, you'll notice things and you'll pick up on things and it'll be really fun, but you won't be spoiled if you haven't read the other series. That was like my main thing, because I feel, much as I love Cassandra Clare so much, she's one of my all-time favorite authors, I keep constantly seeing people in like comments and stuff saying that they're intimidated to start because now there's like how many books out? There's a lot of books out that you have to read. You know, you'll be spoiled if you try and just pick up Lady Midnight. And I thought that it would probably be a good idea to not do that, so I'm not doing that. In the series, obviously you need to read them sequentially, but as far as like crossover stuff, as far as like the other individual series, you don't have to do that. And that's not where I was going to go with this at all. So basically I set the one book aside and I was working on the other book, doing stuff with it, and then a couple months later now I've come back to it and I've kind of just like realized some things that were, I guess, not clear to me at the time when I was trying to write all my brainstorming ideas. They just weren't clear to me when I was originally brainstorming the ideas, because I think I was pushing so hard to be like, why isn't it like perfect? Why isn't it what I wanted to be? It wasn't quite as magical as I wanted it to be. Like, it had magic in it, but it wasn't as magical as I wanted it to be, if that even makes any sense at all. I wanted to explore the magic that I had created a little bit more, and I felt like it was just kind of like stuff happening, and I wanted it to be magic stuff happening, but it wasn't necessarily magic stuff that was happening, if I'm making any sense at all. So yeah, I've kind of like broken through that and figured out, like, it's not 100% planned out because it's hard to plan a like 300-400 page book completely, but I'm getting there. And I'm very excited because I feel like I'm finding ways to tie all of the different plot lines together, which was another thing that was really like confusing me. I had all these separate plot lines that I wanted to tie together and they weren't coming together beautifully. And now they're not completely woven together beautifully yet, but I'm getting there and I'm kind of seeing connections that I guess I was just missing because I was forcing myself to like be creative. And you know when you like yell at yourself to be creative and like come up with like these amazing plot twists and ideas, your brain's just like, no, I don't want to. I'm tired, because for a few days straight all I was doing was coming up with plot ideas, and I guess I exhausted myself, especially when it came to that one series. So basically the moral of this ramble is, if you are stuck, work on something else. And you might see connections that you missed before, and that's like the most basic writing advice ever, and I don't think that was very helpful, but luckily this is not a how-to video. This is a ramble about writing problems video. I think that's about all I want to say for today. Looking at the footage, it's long now, so I'm gonna stop. So thank you so much for watching this. If you've watched it, feel free to like comment about anything you want down below. I will say that I'm not going to talk about specific details about my book, like plot details, character names, book titles, stuff like that. I'm not going to give any of that below because I'm super paranoid about like idea theft and all that stuff, and it's not like I don't trust you, because I'm sure you're a wonderful person who wouldn't do that, but there are also people who aren't wonderful and who would do that. I also do want to say that once stuff is out and published, which hopefully won't be that long, I will go into so much more detail about my books once, you know, they're released to the general public. And I have no idea when that's going to be, because like I said, I'm still in the query stage for like everything. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was entertaining for you. Just like let me know if you're writing something too. Let me know like anything you want to share in the comments. I love meeting other writers. It is so much fun. So thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. I talk about writing, I also talk about books, and sometimes about drawing. So have fun and stay creative. Bye!